Nike. The name is short, sharp, and instantly recognizable. It's the swoosh on the feet of the world's best athletes, the logo on championship jerseys, and the symbol of a brand worth over $100 billion today. But Nike didn't start as a global powerhouse, a marketing giant, or even a shoe company with its own factory. It started with one man, a risky idea, and a belief that running shoes could be better. This is the story of how Phil Knight turned a small, scrappy operation into the most powerful sportswear brand in history. Most people see success as the result of talent, luck, or timing. But when you look closer, success follows patterns, repeatable systems built on decisions, strategy, and discipline. The difference isn't chance, it's the playbook. This is Success Playbook. On this channel, we break down real business stories, key decisions, and proven strategies so you can understand how success is actually built. Let's get started. The year is 1962. Phil Knight had just graduated from Stanford Business School. Like many new graduates, he faced a problem that every aspiring entrepreneur knows all too well: ambition without a clear path forward. But Phil did have an idea. Before Stanford, he had been a distance runner at the University of Oregon, coached by the legendary Bill Bowerman. Running wasn't just a hobby for Phil, it was part of his identity. And in one of his Stanford business classes, he had written a paper that would quietly shape the rest of his life. In that paper, Phil observed something interesting. Japanese manufacturers had recently overtaken German companies in the American camera market. Brands once considered inferior were now dominating through better pricing and improving quality. Phil wondered if the same thing could happen in another industry: running shoes. At the time, the American market was dominated by Adidas and Puma, both German brands, both expensive, and both wildly popular. Phil asked a simple but dangerous question. What if Japanese running shoes could replace them? It was a theoretical idea on paper, but once Phil graduated, he couldn't let it go. Phil had one major problem. He had no experience, no money, and no connections in Japan. He didn't even own a pair of Japanese running shoes. The only ones he had seen were worn by American soldiers who had been stationed in Japan after World War II.
But instead of discouraging him, that lack of competition did the opposite. To Phil, it meant opportunity. So in November 1962, he did something that would define his entire career. He stopped overthinking and just went for it. He flew to Japan, not as a seasoned businessman, but essentially as a tourist with a dream. While exploring the city of Kobe, Phil walked into a shoe store that immediately caught his attention. The brand was Onitsuka Tiger, and the shoes were impressive, well-made, affordable, and designed for serious athletes. Phil knew instantly this was it. He arranged a meeting with the company's founder, and when the moment came to introduce himself, Phil did something bold and slightly reckless. He told them he was the owner of an American shoe distribution company. The truth? That company didn't exist. Phil made up the name Blue Ribbon Sports on the spot, and somehow, against all odds, Onitsuka Tiger agreed. Phil Knight became the exclusive distributor of Tiger shoes in the United States. With nothing but confidence and conviction, he had secured the deal that would change everything. In 1963, Phil received his first shipment, 12 pairs of shoes. No warehouse, no store, no employees. He sold them the only way he could, out of the trunk of his car, driving from track to track, convincing runners to give these unknown Japanese shoes a chance. They did. The shoes sold well, but Phil quickly realized something important. This approach wouldn't scale. If he wanted to build a real business, he needed help. There was only one person he trusted more than anyone else when it came to running shoes: his former coach, Bill Bowerman.
Bowerman wasn't just any coach. He was one of the most respected track coaches in America, having trained multiple Olympic athletes. More importantly, he was obsessed with one thing: making athletes better through better equipment. Phil showed him the Tiger shoes. Bowerman loved them, but he also saw ways they could be improved. So in January 1964, the two men became partners. They officially incorporated Blue Ribbon Sports, each investing $500. Every dollar went into their first real order, 300 pairs of shoes, costing $3.33 per pair. When the shipment arrived in April, Bowerman used his reputation and connections to get the shoes into the hands of serious runners. By July, they were sold out. In their first year, Blue Ribbon Sports made $8,000 in revenue. It wasn't much, but it was real. As the company grew, Phil focused on operations, sales, and distribution. He hired salespeople who lived the running lifestyle, often former athletes themselves. The brand wasn't flashy, but it was authentic. By 1965, revenue climbed to $20,000. Soon after, they opened their first retail store in Santa Monica. But behind the scenes, something even more important was happening: innovation. Bill Bowerman wasn't satisfied selling shoes made by someone else. With every new shipment from Onitsuka, he would cut open the shoes, study the materials, and experiment with changes. More cushioning, less weight, better traction. Bowerman was obsessed. In 1966, he published a book about jogging, a concept that barely existed in America at the time. The book sold over 1 million copies and helped spark a nationwide running boom. And Blue Ribbon Sports was perfectly positioned to ride that wave. But success brought tension. As Blue Ribbon Sports grew, the relationship with Onitsuka Tiger began to strain. Phil wanted more control. Bowerman wanted more innovation. Onitsuka wanted to protect its own interests. Eventually, the partnership collapsed. And suddenly, Phil Knight faced the biggest challenge of his life. He had built a growing business, but he didn't own the product. So he made the hardest decision yet. He would create his own shoe brand. In 1971, Blue Ribbon Sports officially became Nike, named after the Greek goddess of victory. The logo? A $35 design created by a college student named Carolyn Davidson. The swoosh. Simple, fast, dynamic. At first, Phil wasn't even sure he liked it, but the shoes mattered more. Bowerman continued experimenting, and one morning, inspiration struck in the most unexpected place: his kitchen. He poured rubber into his wife's waffle iron, creating a pattern that would become the famous waffle sole. It was lightweight, durable, and offered incredible traction. Nike finally had something unique. And then came the athletes. Nike didn't market like traditional brands. Instead of focusing on products, they focused on people. They signed runners, basketball players, and later entire teams. In 1984, they signed a rookie basketball player who had just entered the NBA. His name was Michael Jordan. The Air Jordan line didn't just sell shoes, it created culture. It turned sneakers into identity, fashion, and status. Nike was no longer just a sportswear company, it was a movement. Phil Knight didn't build Nike overnight. He built it through risk, failure, and relentless belief. For years, the company barely stayed afloat. Cash flow problems were constant. Lawsuits threatened to shut everything down. Phil himself admitted that for decades, Nike was always on the edge of collapse. But he kept going, because at its core, Nike was never just about shoes. It was about pushing limits. Today, Nike is a global empire, sponsoring the world's greatest athletes, shaping sports culture, and inspiring millions with a simple message: just do it. And it all started with one man, one idea, and the courage to take a chance.